Hello everyone, today I'm going to conduct an experiment. What I'm going to do is absolutely saturate my Nemo Hornet Elite Osmo 1P tent to simulate heavy rain. So I get the tent pitched, I'll soak it, and we're going to see how this new Osmo fabric copes with an extreme amount of water hitting the tent, and just kind of see, is the tent really weatherproof? Alright, so I've got the tent pitched up. It's real nice and taut. So what I'll do now is I'm going to get the hose, I'll put it to the shower setting, and I'll just blast the water on it. And I'll do a time lapse and I'll see if the tent sags, and we'll see how it goes. At the moment it's all nice and dry inside, and I'm thinking there'll be no leaks, but we'll see. Okay, I think that's enough to get a good indication of how it works. There isn't really much sagging on the tent. There's a tiny bit, but if it was still nylon, you could imagine that the whole thing would just be melting. Because you gotta remember that the fly on this tent's only a 7 denier fabric. It's like tissue paper, it's so thin and lightweight, but it repelled the water very, very effectively. There's a little bit of sagging, but it's still functioning absolutely perfectly in terms of how it's getting the water off. And after the initial bit of sag, it hasn't seemed to continue. So I think Nemo's claim with the Osmo fabric being 4 times more resistant to sagging seems pretty accurate, maybe even better than 4 times. One complaint that I've seen some other people on YouTube make is that this fly cutaway allows water to hit the inner part of the tent. And as you can see, there is a small amount of droplets hitting the inner, even when I've got it guyed out on the back of the fly. And there's a few little patches that you can see of pooling, but this is a waterproof material, so in theory water shouldn't get through, because it's not like it's hitting it with pressure, it's more of a splashback. But we'll check on the inside. Just another quick look around at the tent to assess the level of sag. To be honest, it doesn't really look like there's been any sagging at all. It looks to be absolutely dry inside. Wow. This is the head end of the tent where there's that cutaway bit of the fly and the inner's exposed. Put my hand in here. You can see the water beading on the material, but it's all dry. And really, if you had your sleeping pad in here, you're going to be about here in the tent, so you're not going to be hitting right on the end, but there's no moisture coming through on that head part of the tent, and all the rest of the inner appears to be perfectly bone dry. Little bit of splashback onto the high side on there, but none of that's getting through. Overall, I'd have to say that that was a success. The tent looks to be keeping all of the water out. I'd say if there was prolonged water hitting it, rain for several hours, it's not going to sag any more than it is. I had, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes of a lot of water from the hose on full bore hitting it, and that's the results. I was fascinated by this Osmo fabric, and it was one of the main reasons why I purchased the tent, because I just hate sagging steel nylon, especially when you're getting down to really low denier fabrics. They tend to wet out, and then the water just starts to somehow penetrate through, and the sagging, and it just doesn't work good. But somehow Nemo, I don't know how they've done it, they've made this fabric, and you know, it's probably going to be a bit of a game changer. I'm not sure if other manufacturers are going to get access to it and they can start building all their lightweight tents of this fabric, but I think Nemo, with the only manufacturer that I know that has it at the moment, it's got a pretty good advantage. Yeah, check it out if you're interested. I think they do some of their other tents with the same fabric. But yeah, that's all from me today. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and see you in the next vid. And just a disclaimer, I purchased this tent with my own money. Well, Victoria did for my birthday, so I'm not in any way beholden to Nemo or anyone for giving my thoughts on it. and I have a full review of the tent if you're keen to see some more of the features. That's a few videos back on my channel. But yeah, it's a great tent, and now I've tested it on some pretty heavy water exposure, and I can safely say that it passed the test.